Hello, I'm here to talk about GCSE English Language and English Literature. At Abbey Park, we use the OCR exam board for both subjects. Both subjects are compulsory for all students. They're part of a 2-year course, which will award students with 2 separate GCSEs. The content for these courses is delivered across Year 10 and Year 11. In terms of classes, on the A side, we will have A1, which is an aspiring group for some of our most able students. And on the B side, there is B4, which is where there is a smaller, more supported group. All other classes will remain mixed ability. For GCSE English Language, students will sit 2 2-hour exams towards the end of Year 11. Each exam is worth 80 marks and 50% of the overall GCSE grade. Paper 1, which is Communicating Information Ideas, is our non-fiction paper. Paper 2, Exploring Effects and Impacts, is more of a fiction paper. Section A of both papers is a reading section. There will be 2 texts and 4 questions of increasing challenge. Students will be asked to identify information, compare the 2 texts, analyse language and structure, and evaluate the texts in relation to a given statement. All skills that they have been developing across Key Stage 3. Section B of both papers is the writing section. They will complete 1 task out of a choice of 2. They'll be asked to write in a particular form, and usually for a specific audience and purpose. The type of writing will depend on the paper. For the non-fiction paper, students may be asked to produce a magazine or newspaper article, a speech or a letter. Audiences may range from younger students, their own class, headmaster, MP, or the general public. And purposes in the non-fiction paper are likely to be things like to argue, to persuade, to advise, to explain. For the fiction paper, as you may expect, the tasks here tend to lean towards creative writing. Students could be given a title and asked to produce a short story, or asked to write in the style of an autobiography. Whether or not what they write about is true or not will be up to the students themselves. There is also the spoken language element. Now, this is a separate award where they will receive a pass, merit, or distinction. It is compulsory in order to retain their GCSE, but it will have no effect on the overall grade. We normally aim to complete this towards the end of Year 10. For their GCSE English Literature, again, students will sit 2 2-hour exams towards the end of Year 11. Again, each paper is worth 80 marks, 50% of the GCSE grade. Paper 1 is Exploring Modern and Literary Heritage Texts. At Abbey Park, we've chosen Anne Inspector Calls and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde as our texts. Paper 2 is Exploring Poetry and Shakespeare. For this, we use the OCR Poetry Anthology, where we've chosen to use the Conflict collection of poems. And for our Shakespeare, we've chosen The Merchant of Venice. Section A of both papers, which will be the Anne Inspector Calls and Poetry part, there are 2 tasks to complete: a comparison with an extract or poem from the text, and an unseen extract or poem. The second task is an analysis of another moment or poem from the text, which will rely purely on the student's memory and memorised quotes that they've learnt. Section B for both papers, the Shakespeare, Jekyll and Hyde, they will have 1 task for choice of 2, either an extract-based question or a more general discussion question. Students will need copies of all the texts, apart from the Poetry Anthology, which is provided free of charge from the OCR exam board. Normally, we aim to sell these through the school at the end of Year 9. It is essential that students have their own copies of the texts in order to annotate these throughout the year and to revise from when they get to Year 11. You may ask, what do students get out of it? As I've already mentioned, they will be awarded 2 distinct GCSEs. They will also all hopefully have increased articulacy, which is essential for all jobs and walks of life, as well as for their post-16 courses. They should have an increased confidence producing writing to suit a whole range of forms, where they choose to do creative writing, article writing, online writing, deliver speeches, presentations, and letter writing for different purposes, and the ability to carefully select and decode vocabulary for purpose, whether that is in what they are reading, letters, newspapers, things that arrive to them, or whether it's things that they are aiming to produce themselves, job applications, for example. And where can the GCSEs take them? Well, the ability to communicate clearly and effectively is essential for every job, really. But just a few paths that some may follow after studying English could be in media, advertising, journalism, teaching, marketing, publishing, law. The list really does go on. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with the English department.